Welcome to the Hello Kid Show! Welcome to the Hello Kid Show! Welcome to the Hello Kid Show! Welcome to the Hello Kid Show!
Hello everyone, and welcome back. If you're on this side of YouTube, there's a good chance you might have seen or heard of a little series called The Hello Kid Show. But in case you haven't, The Hello Kid Show is kinda an internet horror, analog horror hybrid. And I know, wow, scary clown, never seen that shit before.
Oh, fuck. What the fuck?
But it's actually a lot deeper than that. How much deeper? Well, you'll see, but it's not just the story. The set pieces and imagery throughout are pretty unique and really help build up this world and set up the scares fairly well, and God, I sound like a fucking reviewer. Let's just dive into it. The channel itself has amassed 36 videos so far, spanning a period of about 2 years. And I haven't really seen anyone go into a super deep dive with the story yet, so that's what we'll be attempting to do today. I'll go mostly in order, starting at the Hello Kid Show episode 1 and ending at the newest upload. Now typically, I'd go through every video individually and read every description, but for this series, I think it would flow a lot better to go through it in sections and only read the important descriptions. Afterwards, we can look at the whole thing and try to piece together what we can about the story. If you'd like to experience the story blind, I'd recommend watching the original series first before this video. And with that, are you ready? Okay. Let's begin. Despite the channel's namesake, there are actually only 8 episodes in the traditional Hello Kids show format. Each episode follows a general formula, with a few things recurring each time. They all revolve around a central theme, feature a segment from a character known as I, and have a kid poem of the day read towards the end. Anyway, episode 1 revolves around the theme of love. And where else to talk about that than a dirty shed? The host of the show, aptly named Hosty, goes on about the magical feeling of love, and tees us up for a skit about said love. But before we go to that, we get our first segment featuring the character of I.
But first, let's go check in on our buddy to see what he can see for you and me.
I looks to be maybe a sort of stand-in for the camera as the name implies, but it definitely is its own character and not just Hosty, as we will see Hosty from I's point of view down the line. Regardless, what is shown is various handprints across a car window. Unclear if they are on the inside or outside of the car, but I'm guessing some very unfortunate people were unable to get out of the back of the car. Once returning to the show, a story is told about a man named Ted. Ted is a truck driver who is returning from work to his wife and kids, but finds an unfamiliar car in his driveway. So he waits and then sees his wife with an unfamiliar man, with the wife then giving the man a kiss before he walks off. The story ends with Hosty plainly saying,
Ted waited at the end of the drive and watched the silly old stranger leave down the road. Ted went home.
It abruptly cuts to this shot where we see Hosty dancing next to a fire. And this is what America's about. If I can't look out my window and see my neighbor dressed as a clown dancing next to a fire that could easily spread to my house, then I don't want to be here. The video begins wrapping up as we get to hear the kid poem of the day. This is probably the only one I'll play as they're all fairly similar, but you should get the idea.
But before we end, we have to do our kid-submitted poem of the day. The sheets are red, but she's not dead. Oh, where did she go? I don't know. She won't get old. Her body's getting cold. That's a nice poem.
We can see that help is written on the back, and if you look closely, it doesn't even seem like Hosty is reading it. Makes you wonder if there's anything even written other than help. The video ends with Hosty stating that they will be relocating to a new studio and that maybe they'll even end up in your town. And with that, the credits roll, giving us some god-awful music to listen to, that also played during the backyard portion. In episode 2, the subject is fear, and also conquering it. To demonstrate this, Hosty decides to take us to an old spooky farmhouse. But before that, we get our eye portion, which shows I following an unsuspecting man walking adjacent to a graveyard, then speeding up to do God knows what. We cut back to Hosty suddenly driving a car and arriving at a farmhouse. He then takes an attempt at asking us to become a part of the family.
Join our family. Join our family. Join our family. Join our family. Join our family. Join our family. Join our family. Join our family.
Important to note here that Hosty did not create this family, he is merely a part of it.
As I know since joining our family, I've been too scared to feel fear, and overall I am the happiest I have ever been.
When it reaches the kid poem of the day, he actually isn't even reading one this time, effectively showing that yeah, kids aren't writing these poems. This is all capped off with another reminder that they still have not found a studio. Episode 3 opens up with the show finally taking place in a studio and having one of the more important character introductions, that being Mother. And with the topic of the episode being religion, I'm sure you can see where this is going. The eye segment for this one is somewhat unremarkable, just walking through a forest with a red tint. Hosty describes Mother as being the family's leader, describing her as their protector, guidance, and reason, allowing them to unlock their full potential, both spiritually and physically. Oh, that sounds great. Let's meet her. So yeah, a little fucking scary. Let's end it with the only poem that probably wasn't written by Hosty.
Now it's time for our kid-submitted poem of the day. Help, help, please send help. I miss mommy and daddy. Please, please, I'm so scared. I love you, I love you, I love you, please. Hey, wait a second. That don't rhyme. You silly kid.
Episode 4 opens up with Hosty in Chip's playhouse. Who's Chip, I hear you asking? Well, this is Chip. And yeah, Chip is a little chopped looking, and he may or may not be a Pringles can. I watched the series multiple times, and I just realized that the name is Chip, and it's a Pringles can. In the eye section, we see Hosty carrying a garbage bag up a hill, and I'm starting to think these eye sections might have a little cohesion to them. We then get to see the inside of Chip's playhouse, featuring a pair of dancing legs and a weird doll head. One last notable thing is during the credits we can see Hosty waving around a severed hand. Very classy. Breaking up the Hello Kids show, a video was uploaded in the middle called Back Home, basically just showing the set from a few different angles, presumably coming back from a trip. It seems based on the description that Hosty travels quite a bit. Episode 5 is a bit of a shorter one, as it's supposed to be about fun, but Hosty is interrupted early on by a noise upstairs and goes to investigate. We then hear a scuffle, and Hosty returns now sporting a cleaning outfit with a body lying on the floor as he mops. The eye segment was just this, and I don't know what to say about it. What I will say though is these shoes are a fire. Episode 6 opens up with another official character introduction, and if you want to see them, all you have to do is look in the mirror, because it's you. Yep, we are now an official character in this.
And because you joined us today, we thought it was only kind if we added a new character to the show. We would like to introduce you as an official character. Behind the camera, you don't get enough love and respect, but just know we very much love and respect you for all you do.
The episode topic this time around is tricks. Specifically, Mother's tricks, as we'll soon see an example of this. But first, the eye portion, which seems to take place in a church. I don't know, this is kind of a weird building, but it ends with them just walking towards some music. But back in the studio, we see the same door as previous, with Mother sitting in the same spot, conjuring up a TV. this is her trick, I guess. Hosty mentions how this takes a toll on her, but she can do it again, given enough rest. The video ends with Hosty staring at the TV in darkness, implying that he can see something the rest of us can't. In the penultimate episode, we once again see Chip, and I want to talk about Chip for a second. It doesn't really seem like Chip is a person, and I know that sounds really stupid because, obviously, but let me rephrase that. It doesn't really seem like it's its own entity, like Hosty talks for it, and it's not like it can move on its own or anything. I think it just more represents Hosty's loneliness, because other than Mother, he doesn't really interact verbally with anything else. Anyway, this is all relevant because this episode is about friends. Let's start with the eye segment. We see Eye hiking through the woods as they reach something buried, but if we look closely we can actually see a face buried underneath the dirt. I think this might be the same body from episode 5, as a cleaning bucket is put down by the cameraman before they approach the body. We cut back to Chip and Hosty playing Twister, and I'm really struggling to see the logistics of that. They move throughout the house and show off Chip's many toys. I think Chip might be a hoarder. They arrive at a closet to show off Chip's special room, where we can see that behind the wall of toys, there's actually a hidden room. You know, I'm starting to think that this guy is a murderer. Like, not the character of Hosty, but the actual creator of the series, because what the fuck is this? Anyway, the biggest reveal here is that Hosty might need a little minoxidil, because look at that bald spot. The final episode is actually a special one. It was originally titled Hello Kids Show Special with Mother, but it was later remade and rebranded as a Halloween special, but we'll still look at it in the spot it initially had. A post was made on the channel before the original video was released, giving viewers a chance to ask questions for Hosty to answer in the video. We see this in the actual video with the questions being asked. Who are you all? Where are you all from? What plans do you have moving forward? What is this exactly? And are you guys cultists? All good questions that are not answered because Hosty is quickly interrupted by a creaking floorboard. Mother has arrived. She produces one of those tunnels that you're supposed to crawl through. I don't know what it's called, but we hear the sounds of people coming through it. So we crawl through and arrive in a dimly lit church, although we hear the sounds of a crowd. Hosty is then seen at the front, welcoming us to Mother's special sermon. What happens next is one of my favorite shots of the series as the camera slowly approaches Mother, beckoning us towards her. She points down at a plate that seemingly has a VHS tape on it. The tape is taken as the camera slowly approaches a TV. The tape is then inserted, and I'm saddened to say I'm not a big fan of this part, as what the tape contains is essentially what I think is just a bunch of creepy images just made to move with AI. It just kinda takes me out of it, like, what, you're telling me this guy put all this on a tape? On what, his fucking clownputer? It is the only time in any of these videos where something like this happens though, so I'm willing to forgive it. Although, I do grant one frowny face sticker. Aside from that, I'd guess this is meant to be some sort of indoctrination tape given the context. One interesting takeaway is this VHS shot from a few years into the future, which could provide evidence that this is some sort of doomsday adjacent cult. And with that, we have seen every episode of the Hello Kids show, but we are far, far from done, as we are not even halfway through the videos. So let's delve into the Hello Kids show tapes.
Hello kids, welcome to the family. Hello kids, we're bound to send you home. Hello.
So there was actually a deleted video that would be the first to kick off this section, but I think it's best if we save it for after the tapes. Instead, we'll start with a video titled, We're Back. It opens with the sounds of a rainstorm as we travel through a dark house. Just ignore the streams of sunlight coming through the window. Hosty then enters to the sound of a roaring applause. It could be said that these sounds, both the storm and the people, are non-diegetic and are all just in his mind. He sits down but has to get up rather quickly as there is a knock at his door. He answers it by having a brief staring contest with this funny-looking dude. He is then handed a light bulb. The light bulb is screwed in, and Hosty sits down rather pleased with himself, looking at a chalkboard, where the only word I could make out here is missing. The light goes out, and we see the delivery man from earlier watching on from the window rather frantic about something. In fact, both him and Hosty seem frantic as the sound of broken glass is heard, and Mother appears from the right. Sirens are heard in the background, and as the video fades to black, a scream can be heard. The next video is our first entry in the tape series, the Hello Kids Show tapes, episode 1. It opens with Hosty in a very aesthetic-looking room, talking about the coziness of the fall, and explaining to us that there will be some tapes that we'll be viewing that they dug up, mentioning it's been ages since they've been seen. No time is wasted as he pops in the first tape. The first thing you might notice is the date on the tape, October 6th, 2020. Now, I know some people might be put off by that, cause why would someone be using that technology over a decade of it being obsolete? But, just roll with it. I have a bit of an explanation I think fits, but we'll delve into that later. In the footage, a man is talking with someone, presumably a friend, about how every time he goes to bed, his back door is opened in the middle of the night, without fail. He says he'll leave his camera next to his bed so he can show it in the morning. And, as expected, the next morning he goes to check on it, and it's open. The strange thing being that it's still locked.
Here's what's weird, dude, is like... it's still up.
He also mentions that it's not like that when he leaves for work, only at night.
Never want to leave for work. I come back and it's like it, only at night. So, I'll send you this video. Let me know what you think. I'll keep recording some more stuff though.
We return to Hosty as he states that he got way too into that video, and he loads up another tape. This time it's unrelated footage taking place in April of 2001, as we see someone running through a field who gets shot in the back as the camera falls to the ground. Hosty quickly remarks that this was not the second tape he meant to play, and that the tapes are out of order. With that, the first episode ends. In episode 2, he claims that he got the tapes back in order, and we continue from where we left off last time, with the same man around 5 days later. In this tape, we see him letting his dogs into the bedroom, and we also see that he has a wife and child. He is seemingly filming another tape for the same person as last time, and as he is discussing the Halloween decoration, we can hear a hint of familiarity in his voice.
Dude, how you gonna get upset about the Halloween stuff?
What, am I not supposed to buy my Halloween stuff? Really?
And also his dog's name sounds like it's Chip.
Let me put her in the bed real quick. Chip, let's go bed.
Interesting. He states that the door thing has been happening every night, and he's just been too lazy to record it. But as he's filming the door, he hears some footsteps behind him. He assumes these to be his wife, Tab, but when he goes back to the bedroom, his wife and child are still asleep. The video ends with Hosty saying this.
Oh, silly, that wasn't a dog. You'll soon find out.
In episode 3, we actually get to see 2 tapes. The first being footage of him going under the house to wrap some pops, whatever that means. The tape is dated 19 days after the initial tape, on October 25th. He mentions how the person he's filming these for has moved away to somewhere warmer, so they might appreciate this footage. Something to note is he states the previous tape he's been trying to send this person has been sent back twice now, and this could mean one of 2 things. One could be this person does not want to be contacted and is sending them back, or 2, some other force is sending them back. He does mention texting this person, however, although that doesn't mean they responded. Couple of other things mentioned in this tape are how his wife doesn't appreciate him filming as she's superstitious about the whole thing, and how the door is still open every morning, along with the footsteps at night being much more prevalent than they were before. This tape ends with the dogs getting freaked out as he looks around the basement, but he finds nothing. The second tape takes place 2 hours later in a hallway as he tries to capture a specific phenomena he's noticed in this part of the house. He seems acutely aware that there is a presence in the house by this point, so he speaks out and asks the visitor to make a noise. And it does, beginning to play notes on a music box. There's a lot of tension built in this part as he notices a toy move in the room on his left, something that doesn't usually happen. He states that the activity is typically confined only to the hallway. Things only intensify from here as footsteps are heard very close to him, the music box starts playing again, and the camera starts to glitch. He zooms down the hall and we can slightly make out a figure in the mirror. He continues to look when suddenly something charges towards him and the camera glitches out.
I hate when they glitch up.
When we return to Hosty, he's closing out the video when he suddenly hears the ringing of a telephone. When he picks up the phone, only a dial tone is heard, but he appears very excited and says he thought it was damaged beyond repair. We're then told that the next video is near and dear to their heart. This leads us into the Hello Kids show, A Lost Tape. When the video opens, Hosty isn't even here this time, leaving us without our guide as we begin the tape. When the tape starts, we can notice that it doesn't have the same VHS filter we're used to, but rather a more granular overlay, implying that this tape is much, much older than the other ones. We see someone driving a car down a road, abruptly cutting to them exploring a basement of sorts that looks strikingly similar to the set we all know and love. The cameraman comes across 2 bloodied axes, and before they can get too comfortable, some hair slinks down into frame, and Mother is there to greet them. They begin to run until another figure also shows up. The video then ends. We're gonna go a bit out of order here for the next 2 videos, just so we can get through all the tapes, but rest assured, the videos we're skipping will be covered in the next section. Getting right into episode 4, the tape begins with the same man from before prepping Halloween bags to give out. Funnily enough, he mentions that he's surprised Halloween is still on given everything that happened that year. His wife and kid are out of the house, so it's just him during this, and he suddenly hears a knock at the door. He expects an early trick-or-treater, but is met by a box labeled by a smiley face and the word open. Now normally, someone might be creeped out by this, but the man is unfazed due to him thinking it's his friend he's making the tapes for who sent it. He attempts to call said friend, but gets no answer. Upon opening the box, we get our first appearance of Hosty's iconic outfit, confirming the thing you probably figured out by now, that this man filming the VHSs is Hosty. He's unsure what to make of all this as he digs further into the box, revealing the whole outfit, unaware that this would be the outfit he would be spending most, if not all of his time in, years later. It doesn't appear as though the outfit affects his mental state in any way at this time, so it's unclear when he actually does become Hosty. It cuts back to present-day Hosty, with him speaking to someone off-screen who's telling him that he can't play the next tape yet, so he plays a different one instead. In this footage, we see that it's once again granular, and we get footage of a shed, a cellar, and some religious imagery. The video ends following this. In our final Hello Kids Show Tapes episode, we start off with a cozy Thanksgiving vibe, and Hosty giving gratitude towards all the lovely viewers. He's so grateful, in fact, that he decides to dedicate the video to showing off some of I's old videos. Yeah, remember him? These tapes begin with I in a park, and since the footage is so old, there's a good chance that I has been a part of this family for a long time. We witness I filming a family at a park, swinging on a swing, not really going very high, before it suddenly zooms into a forest, immediately cutting to a driving shot. Once I reaches its destination, we get footage of this nasty blood soup, with I adding more stuff to it. After this, a fire is shown burning, ending the tape. It returns to Hosty very pleased with I's videos, losing his mind clapping. We have now seen all the tapes episodes, but before we move on, let's take a quick break and reflect. Earlier I mentioned a deleted video between the original show and the tapes. The title was Sunday Morning, and it's playing in the background. In the video, the song Nobody's Dirty Business by Mississippi John Hurt is playing. I'm playing a cover of it right now. It's by this guy. He makes some very good covers if you want to go check him out. I'll link it in the description. But I think this video serves as a good background to talk about Hosty themselves. It's fairly evident that before this whole Hello Kids show thing, Hosty was a normalish guy with a wife and a kid, but then weird things started happening, and he turned out like this. It's also pretty apparent that his wife and kid are no longer in the picture, so you gotta wonder what happened to them. The usage of this song could imply that Hosty had killed them himself, or at least his wife, but I'm not sure. I know he has murdered in this series already, but I feel like there's not enough conclusive evidence that he would do that to family. But something definitely took them out of the picture, whether it be them leaving or being taken by some other force, perhaps leading Hosty into spiraling. Anyway, it's a bit sad watching this normal dude go from having a typical life to dressing like a clown and losing essentially his entire identity. Just makes you wonder what might have happened in the time between him picking up that box and the present day. Alright, I think we've spent enough time in this section. Let's move on to the next set of videos.
Nobody's business but my own.
Towards the end of the tape videos, a new short series was started on the channel, going by the name of Saturday Morning Cartoons. Now, I wouldn't call these cartoons because they're not, but in any case, we're still going to go through all 4 of them. The cartoons revolve around a family, consisting of a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, a dog, and a baby. And we'll get to see what sort of wacky hijinks they get up to. The first episode goes by rainy day and begins in a home with the sound of rain in the background. The dad remarks that the dog's been gone a week now and implores the son to go check for him. Also, look, there's a bug in there. We get a POV shot of the son looking for the dog, but we can only hear faint barks. Barks in quotations because this don't sound like any dog I've ever heard. The son walks back in saying he heard the dog but could not see him, and the dad responds saying he'll come back when he's ready. After this, they all proclaim their allegiance to Mother.
Hail Mother.
Hail Mother.
Hail Mother.
Hail Mother.
The daughter then asks when the rain will stop, and the father retorts with saying Mother is not done cleansing the world because it's a filthy, filthy place. A bit of a parallel to Noah's Ark. This video ends with a reversed message. I'll reverse it so we can hear.
He is God, she's his mom.
Episode 2 is titled Jokes, and we get a bit of an intro this time. The first thing we can take note of is the sound of the rain has not stopped, and if you listen closely, you can hear the faint sound of a washing machine. Let me know if you can hear it. The father then launches into a joke and says, "Today was yesterday, but it will never be tomorrow." Not much of a joke, but the son finds it hilarious. This joke sesh is interrupted by the mother asking if anyone has seen the baby. No one responds to her, however, as they hear the dog barking and are happy it's getting closer. The mother again asks if anyone has seen the baby, this time the son asking the father to tell another joke, and he responds in a reversed message.
The baby's in the washer. Hot, 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 hot.
Hot, 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 hot.
Episode 3 is a slightly thematic one, as it's titled The Great Pumpkin. It starts off the same as usual, but this time in the intro we can see the brother is standing by the washer. The sister exclaims that the pumpkin she planted last year has finally grown. The brother then asks the father if they can go see it, to which he agrees. The mother then informs them to not stay out in the rain too long, lest they get sick. Upon arriving at the pumpkin, the brother congratulates the sister on the pumpkin, and she says the rain helped. They all contemplate what to do with it, and eventually decide that it will make a good home for the dog, and help bring him back. They finish hollowing out the pumpkin, and begin to hear the dog as they head inside. The dog does eventually enter the pumpkin, but then it bursts into flames. And I'll say, this pumpkin has some comedic timing.
Help! 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 Please go inside.
The pumpkin changes to a cow skull and continues burning until the video ends. The final episode of Saturday morning cartoons is School Day. Not much has changed with the intro aside from the dog portion now being replaced by the burning skull. Yeah, new dog just dropped. In the beginning of the video, the sister is sick from staying out in the rain too long in the previous episode, and states that she doesn't want to go to school. The brother chimes in saying if sis isn't going, he isn't going either. Unfortunately, they still have to go to school, as the father tells them that the medicine should kick in by lunch, and if she still isn't feeling better, he will pick them both up. The bus then comes and takes them both to school. When they arrive, the teacher states it's been lonely without them here, and it's been ages since they've been here. The kids notice that no one else is in the class, and ask about it, to which the teacher responds that they're all sick. The teacher then asks if they remember the last thing he taught them before the rain began.
Do you to remember the last thing I taught you, before the rain begun?
How we've inherited evil, passed down through our ancestors.
Very good. The evil that rushes over your bones inside you, thicker than oil that slowly drowns you, as you grow. By the time you realize what you became, it's too late. You're at to get back the ones in the ground.
There is then a telephone call where the teacher informs them that their parents are unable to get them as there's a flood, and they will have to stay the night. The twins then get nervous because of the thunder, and the video ends with a line that just carries horrible implications.
Why do you look scared?
Thunder makes us nervous.
I promise nothing bad will happen to you. I have an ideal. Let's play a game. Close your eyes while me and your brother hides.
What follows that short series is a video called Meet Father. I know it can be a bit confusing with the cartoons having a character named Mother and Father, but considering they worship Mother in the cartoon, it's implied they're separate characters. In the description it states, Mother protects us, and Father provides for us. Mother comes from the light, and Father hides in the dark. Mother always looks out for us. Father is always watching us. He's always been here. The video takes place in the same basement, I think, from before, and not much happens in it. We mainly just see the camera lurking. We do get this light jump scare of Mother, but she isn't the focal point. We eventually do see Father, though, as much as we can at least, and all we really get to see are his eyes and mouth, as well as a silhouette. But I guess that does align with how he is described in the description. Following that up is a video titled Happy Day. It starts off with Hosty sitting down, getting ready to watch a tape. We hear some conversation in the background that sounds relatively normal, but we can't make out what they're saying. Then again, it could all be in his head. We presumably start to see what Hosty was watching, getting this beautiful shot of this yellow guy carrying balloons up a hill. Eventually we see the yellow guy arrive at a farmhouse and enter as the music intensifies, and we hear an ominous voice beckoning him inside. Upon arriving inside, we're met with Hosty and this cake pop looking guy delivering what appears to be a birthday cake with the number 2 on it. A fire is shown burning. Man, this series loves its fire. And we see Yellow Man walk out of the barn to some old-timey music. The music reverses as we see him go back and forth for the remainder of the tape. At the end of the video, Hosty goes to eject the tape, and we hear a gunshot sound as the photo of the teacher from Saturday Morning Cartoon episode 4 flashes on the screen. The next video is actually the most popular video on the channel for some reason. It's called Voicemail and is what I presume to be Mother talking to someone. The voice is very hard to understand, so I'll just explain what it says. She starts off by saying, "The bed is wet. The closet under the bed. You don't see?" She proceeds to laugh and say, "Listen, you don't lock the door." And I can't understand what she says in this next part, so I'll play it for you so you can hear the voice, and maybe you'll be able to understand it.
What? The cell not.
The video ends with her saying, "I watch you while you sleep," and "He'll know we're coming." I interpret this video as being around the time of Hosty experiencing the weird door thing due to lines like, "You don't lock the door," and "He'll know we're coming," showing it as a bit of a coordinated effort. I also find it funny that this is called voicemail, which implies that these monsters use phones, which I guess isn't too out of the ordinary considering the other technologies that they use. Continuing on, the next video is called The Last, Super, with the description plainly saying, "Mother prepares food for the crew in this Easter Sunday feast." We see footage of a camera in a forest with screams heard all around. Eventually a body bag is found and it hard cuts to cooking sounds in a pot with quote-unquote food. We then see a cornucopia of sorts with our friends Chip and Dog. We get this super creepy shot of Mother rising up above it all. The next video is, I guess, kinda an episode of the Hello Kids show, but not really. I only say that because it's called the Hello Kids Show Campfire, but it doesn't follow the formula. It starts with this shot of what I'd call Father because it looks very similar to when we see him. But after this, we get the return of Hosty. Only his narration, however.
It started without me. But since we've got a minute, you've probably been wondering where I've been since the last time we spoke. I've been living, experiencing what this life has to offer.
He mentions he's been making a movie, and that the family has grown even through loss, and proceeds to introduce us to new characters. One is just a body, one is a skull, and one is a skeleton. We've already met Chip. We can notice here that Hosty's mask is sat down, which means he's not wearing it, which is interesting. He ends this with saying that we've probably met these people before, on the street, at school, etc. Nothing much happens in this video, but hey, at least Hosty's back. Subsequent to that video is one called Beach Trip. We'll go through it super quickly because there's only 3 interesting shots in it. The first being this cross, just more religious elements. Second is a fucking UFO, and the third is this silhouette. And while we're going through the quick videos, there was a deleted video called I Face Reveal. It's just this the whole time. Looks kinda similar to Father, but it was deleted, so who knows if it's canon anymore. And the final video I'd like to go over in this chapter is called Story Time. In the video we get the classic story of a girl and the big bad wolf, told by Mother, of course. We see a body on the left side. It may or may not be the same body from the last video. Also, she casually skips like a million pages. We then get video of the story with the girl just casually playing, then going up to her closet and hearing a deep growl. Upon turning on the light, she sees, oh no, hair. The hair lunges out and we return to Mother. This ends the video. With all those videos covered, I think it's finally time to move on to the final section. These videos being more modern in the history of the channel, all of them being uploaded in the past year, so let's get to them.
It's a brand new day, that's what they say, but I can't tell, because it's all...
The first video in the final lineup is Who's That Coming Down the Hall? And it's probably the most artsy of all the videos in my opinion. It starts with an outside shot of a cardboard home, with the cardboard facade swiftly taken away, revealing the interior. Inside, we see a man sitting on a little chair in the dark, seemingly just contemplating life. The camera changes to be beneath him as he lights up, indicating that he's taken out his phone. And we start to hear typing noises as he sits up and sends some late 12 a.m. texts. Hey, how have you been? I really need someone to talk to. But he doesn't get any reply. Hey, I get it, bro. He then hears a knock at his door, so he turns on the lights and puts on some sort of head, and is met by the thing everyone wants to see at their door in the middle of the night.
Who's that coming down the hall? Who's that coming down the hall? Who's that coming down the hall?
This may or may not be one of the characters that was introduced back in Campfire, but heeding the skeleton's warning, he goes to look down his hall, and luckily doesn't see anything. He decides to then go to bed. But as he's sleeping, the screen starts to shake, and we hear some footsteps. This doesn't wake him up, but I'm sure the giant hand coming out of the ceiling might. And wake him up it does, but not before we see some slight movement in the previously empty hall. But of course, when he goes to check this, there's nothing there. But we do see something moving behind the diorama. He is unable to sleep after this, so he sits back in his chair and starts texting again. And it's revealed by the time that it's now the next day. Hey. I'm scared of everything now, even myself. Now, what's interesting here is the first text is at 2 p.m., and the second is at 10 p.m. This heavily implies that he spent 8 hours in that chair, waiting to send the next text. Hey, I get it, bro. He tries to type another text, but again, he gets a knock at the door.
Who's that coming down the hall? Who's that coming down the hall?
He looks down the hall but is met by nothing for the second time. But we see something moving behind the house, as well as the door attempting to be opened. He decides to just ignore this and go to bed. This time when he's sleeping, not only is the hand coming through the ceiling again, but also some fingers through the window. And whilst this is happening, shots of the hallway are shown with some ominous music and a figure moving. The hand eventually reaches him this time and begins picking him up. But he comes to just in time. However, when he goes to check the hall again, he is not so lucky. When it returns to the man, he is completely desaturated of color and appears as though he cannot move. He stays like this until the video ends. I think this video can be taken a couple different ways. I think the most clear being the allegory for depression and the anxiety that comes with it. But I think within the lore, this is Hosty. I know the mask isn't exactly the same, but the way he texts someone that doesn't respond to him is very similar to how he was texting during the Hello Kids Show tapes. I think this takes place sometime after he receives the mask, but before he launches into full clown mode. The video following this is just a demo reel of sorts, showing shots from the series, but we do get to hear Hosty's beautiful singing voice.
It's a brand new day, that's what they say, but I can't tell, because it's always the same. It's a brand new day, that's what they say.
Subsequently, we get a return to the tape series, albeit in a bit of a new format. The Hello Kids Show tapes. Welcome to the family. What separates this a bit from the other tapes is that Hosty doesn't actually acknowledge us in these videos, almost as though we were just watching a typical day for him. We can see the monster from the previous video on the left, but it's still like a doll, so perhaps it's just a place to hold the outfit. He asks Mother, who is laying on his right, to read him a bedtime story. However, she's too tired for this, so he asks instead to watch another tape. She agrees to this, so he reaches to grab a tape from the pile, but she says to watch the other ones. Hosty is taken aback by this, remarking that she said he isn't allowed to watch the other ones. She ignores his concerns, granting him permission and telling him to watch and remember. The tape starts with Hosty and another man in a car driving somewhere, eventually arriving at a hiking trail. They begin hiking the trail, getting a few nature shots along the way, and I believe the person in front of the camera at the moment to be Hosty. But the camera will change hands later, so it seems Hosty's friend's name is Kyle.
Yeah, I'm coming.
They continue their hike through the woods, clearly looking for something specific, until Hosty catches sight of the exact thing they had came here for.
Oh my god. Oh shit, the door! Look, can you see it? It's the door. I see it.
Oh my.
Oh, I see it, yeah.
Whoa! How the hell did we get there?
We then see Hosty clearing out some brush, either to make a camp or to make it easier to reach the door. But ultimately, they end up setting up camp next to the door. It's at this point the camera switches hands, now being Hosty's perspective, confirmed when he says this line.
And here she is in all her glory. Our campsite, got the tent set up, got a little fire. One thing that's really cool, look. Our little buddy's still there. How do you snap a turtle? Cole should be back in a few minutes. Has to go get more batteries, because the doofus forgot them. It's kind of important when you're trying to film everything, so this is a little behind the scenes.
He then says that the pond is nice and all, but the door is what he's really here for, as it, quote, validates everything they said. After this, he hears his friend calling out to him, but when he calls back, he receives no response. A comment pointed out that you can see something moving in the tent during this shot, but it's not where Hosty hears the voice from. Also, I think we can confirm Hosty's true name as being Tyler, because that's the name it sounds like he responds to.
Yeah. Go!
He zooms into the woods a few times with his camera, but is unable to find anything. The tape ends here. It returns to Hosty or Tyler finishing the tape and telling Mother that no, he doesn't remember, and that maybe this next tape will jog his memory. But Mother tells him to save it for another day as he hums the It's a Brand New Day song from earlier. Well, that another day is here, because the next video is Tapes Welcome to the Family, Episode 2. It starts with Hosty thanking Mother for another year as they both lie beside a Christmas tree, Mother telling Hosty to open his gift, revealing tape number 2. She then tells him to watch and remember. In said tape, we pick up a little bit after last time, with the camera sporting a red filter, perhaps to see movement easier, presumably to search for his missing friend. This goes on for a bit as Hosty hears a few things but doesn't capture anything that would help. The camera switches back to a typical color scheme as he focuses on a door, then the woods, as he claims he saw something. He then sees it again, but we don't see anything definitive on the camera. It then cuts to this guy standing here with what appears to be a huge blob on his head, as the tape ends. It's not clear whether or not this is Tyler or Kyle, but I think due to the blue shirt we can assume it's Tyler, or Hosty. Returning to the present, Hosty seems a little more distraught than the last time, probably due to him recalling more about his past. The video finishes out with one final word from Hosty.
Mother?
This is the last truly solid lore I'd say we get in the series so far, as the next videos are kinda grab bags. Not to say they're unimportant, they're just a bit more abstract. The first of these videos being You Got Imagination Going On. What begins this video is a still frame of a creepy corpse face, but after this we hear some audio of what sounds like Tyler playing with his daughter.
Oh, Chucky.
Ah, Chucky!
No, it's not Chucky. It's just imagination. You got imagination going on. Imagination, so imagination, creepy obviously.
If we look at the channel description, reading the list of names, we can see that one of them is listed as Chucky. To my knowledge, the audio we just heard is the only mention of him in the series, so there's a chance he will become more important in the future. The video ends with this eerie clip.
You got imagination, you got imagination, you got imagination, you got imagination, you got imagination going on.
It's at this point in the series where they are starting to get a lot more unnerving, as we can see in the following video, God is in the TV, where the entirety of it consists of this creepy guy dancing in a TV to some unnerving music. The video that succeeds this, I actually can't show because it's age restricted, but I'll do my best to describe it. It's called Eye Test, and it contains who we can assume to be eye carving into a bloodied head. Just imagine a ham, I guess, with googly eyes. But the gore actually looks pretty realistic, so props to the series creator. I mean, it's got teeth and everything. If you told me that, oh yeah, that's an actual guy the creator murdered and tore into, there's a good chance I'd believe you. If you want to see it for yourself, it's still there, so knock yourself out. The video preceding the final one is called Marriage. We see the lovely bride brushing her hair, accompanied by some dolls in the bed. After this, we get to see some lovely wedding photos of the cute couple, as well as some cut-up hands. Following that is a shot of the beautiful bride walking down the aisle. Looking closely, two interesting things come up. First being that this is the same hallway we saw all the way back in Tapes 3 when Tyler was trying to capture something on tape. And second being that Hostie's head is just chilling in the background. I'm not sure if this is then supposed to be Hostie having some imagination going on, or if Hostie is just hanging out somewhere else. But either way, it's definitely taking place in his home. When the bride reaches the camera, some text fades onto the screen. Death in all, for I crawl. Death in me, for I see. Bring this curse upon my viewing. Bring this curse upon my viewing. Let it in. Let it consume me. The remainder of this video is the bride sitting in a chair, until eventually lifting the mask, although we do not see who is behind it. The final video is titled Here Comes Peter Cottontail, and honestly, with a name like that, we're kind of ending this one on a weak note. How could that be scary? Huh. It starts with someone in a dilapidated building with cluttered branches all around the floor. Oh, and some bones. This takes place all while the song Peter Cottontail is playing. Eventually, a hair monster rises up off the ground and slowly approaches them, revealing its face when it reaches the full view of the camera. It then lunges at them. The remainder of this video is this shot, reversing and forwarding. Alright. That was a lot of videos, but we made it. Good job. I think it's finally time to try to piece it all together, or at least attempt to, and see what we can glean from the story. Now, before we start, I want to be transparent. I'm not going to be able to cover every single little thing, because this was a lot of content, and I'd imagine that not every detail has been even fully explained yet. So I might miss a few small things. Also, this series has been going on for close to 3 years at this point, so it wouldn't surprise me if not every aspect of those older videos is canon. or if they're just trying to go in a different direction with these newer videos. I'm mainly going to go into Hosty's story as it has the most information revealed about it, and after that I'll delve into the cult a little bit and look into those characters. So, Hosty. Man, where to even start with this guy? We're going to dissect this in a rather sporadic order at first to get all the facts, but I'll summarize it chronologically afterwards. Well, we know for sure that he was not always a clown. We've seen him be normal in the VHS footage, but I don't think this is peak normalcy for Hosty. It's presented as if the inciting incident for everything going downhill for him was just random. Just a door being opened and some footsteps at night, leading to the clown outfit arriving on his doorstep. Before this, however, it seems to me that him going on this trip with his friend led to all this happening. Clearly this door has some supernatural powers, and them going to mess with it had some unforeseen consequences, mainly with his friend Kyle. I think during the initial Hello Kids Show tapes videos, Hosty is already dealing with some delusions that his friend might still be alive. Or we don't know for sure that he's dead, but the bottom line is, Hosty still thinks they're around. He may be sending texts and calling, sure, but we never see anything showing that Kyle is actually responding. This also explains why Hosty is using an analog camera despite him having other ways to film. He can physically send the tapes, giving him another perceived avenue of contacting his friend. Because as far as we know, Hosty has no idea what happened to his friend. And who do we know that is fond of these cameras? That's right, it's Kyle. He was the first in the footage to be using the camera, so it's pretty clearly his. Another piece of evidence that I failed to mention earlier is in Tapes 3, Hosty mentions that he figured out how to put the date and time on the footage. And when we look at the forest footage, the timestamp is absent, showing that the tapes in Hello Kids Show tapes were very likely filmed after the forest event.
That's one thing. The second thing is dude, look, I know I probably already texted it to you, but look, we got the PM in October 25th, 2020 on there. I didn't even know you could do this stuff. I found this cool guy on YouTube. He's got so much cameras and stuff, dude. A lot of tips and tricks that's really useful and cool.
Okay, I know I said the forest trip was the inciting incident, but bear with me. There might have been an inciting incident for the inciting incident. Do you remember way back in the first episode of the Hello Kids Show, a certain truck driver caught his wife cheating on him? Well, you already know where I'm going with this, that this was Hosty. Ted the truck driver is Tyler. Having seen his wife do this, he wants to get away from it all, think on things, so he calls up his friend, and sadly, they picked the wrong hiking trail to go down. And in Who's That Coming Down the Hall, we see the culmination of all of this, with him completely alone in his home, scared of everything, unable to talk to the one friend he had. This video likely takes place after he receives the mask, as we see the man put on a mask before opening the door. But it also takes place before his wife leaves, as when he sees her walking down the hall, all he can see is a monster. He might even see everyone like this by this point, the door and the mask having that much of a hold on him. But how could that be his wife if we see the exact doll later on? Well, I believe that every time we see one of these dollhouse type videos, it's Hosty recreating events in his life to post on the channel. Sure, some of these events are exaggerated. I'm positive he did not see a gigantic skeleton head at his front door, and his wife didn't cheat on him with a horse, but this leads me to the final piece of Hosty's backstory. That Saturday morning cartoons are Hosty's childhood. He is the brother. This is probably the part I have the least evidence for, as the only thing pointing towards this being the case is the one shot of the teacher during Happy Day, but it makes sense. Hosty was deeply ingrained in this cult as a child and eventually escaped and lived a normal life, leaving it all behind. But eventually, during a moment of weakness, it managed to capture him again. And of course, some of it is exaggerated, as they probably didn't grow a gigantic pumpkin, but other parts were very likely as they appeared. So, from the beginning, Hosty grew up deeply ingrained in this cult, as it appears his parents were already a part of it, passing on the beliefs onto their children. Hosty endures countless horribly traumatizing events, but eventually manages to repress it all as he goes on to live a normal, fulfilling life. Cut to nearly present day, and the cult is dying, and with its dwindling members and mother's weakened condition, looks to recruit Hosty as some sort of figurehead. They catch him in a withered mental state and slip him info on a certain little door in the woods. He takes the bait and they take away Kyle, likely the one person he can confide in. Enter phase 2, with them now fucking with them in his own home, making him feel more crazy and alone than ever. His wife eventually fully leaves, taking the kids, and the cult has him right where they want him, and he forgets everything he ever knew. This story reminds me a lot of Dwayne from the McKinney Family Home videos. If you haven't seen that series, it's a pretty similar story, so I'm not sure if it's influencing me a bit when it comes to the plot threads in this series. Where I think this differs a bit from that, however, is I believe Hosty still has a chance. In the Welcome to the Family tapes, Mother is attempting to make Hosty remember, so maybe she's starting to feel a bit of sympathy for him, or the cult's goals with him could have already been met. And speaking of the cult, let's move on to them. As to why they're kidnapping people, I think it's pretty simple. They just need more members, and children are easier to indoctrinate. But they still do go after adults. And anyone who fails to join the family is either straight up killed or maybe fed to this thing, who knows. Their goal or ideology is a little harder to pinpoint, but with shots like this, and shots like this, maybe some alien rapture type thing, we'll probably need more videos to determine anything definitive. Mother is the leader of all this for sure, but it's interesting how she seems to both take on the role of organizer and subject of worship. Another character I'd like to talk about is I, as I've seen some people theorize him to be Hosty's friend that he talks to. I don't think this is likely. I think he's been active in the cult for a long amount of time because some of this footage looks pretty old. The final thing I want to go over is how this could all be in Hosty's head. We hear terms like, you got imagination going on, thrown around, and that could all point to all of this being in Hosty's imagination. But I don't subscribe to this theory due to some clearly paranormal events being caught on camera. And Hosty has been filmed by I before, so that already separates them. Mother has already been present in the same room as Hosty, but characters like Chip I do think are just Hosty. Overall, I could be way off base with all of this, but that's just kinda how I interpreted the series. The series had its highs and lows, but at the end of the day, I enjoyed it. I liked how each section of the videos had a different style to it, and the scary moments really were scary. And that's why I'm giving the Hello Kids show an 8.5 out of 10. All jokes aside, thank you for watching the video. This took forever to make, so I appreciate it. I'll try to be a bit more active in the coming months. I know it can be slow here on the channel sometimes, and I apologize for that. Anyways, love you all. Goodbye.
Say, baby, you get that letter. If you take me back, I'll treat you better. Nobody's business but mine.
Goodbye! Bye! See you next time!